Finding inner peace did not arrive as a sudden moment of relief or clarity. It came slowly, unevenly, after I stopped trying to erase the pain and instead began listening to what it was trying to teach me. For a long time, I believed peace meant forgetting, moving on quickly, or proving that I was unaffected. I was wrong. Peace began the moment I allowed the pain to exist without fighting it. Pain has a voice, but it speaks quietly. It doesn't shout instructions or offer instant solutions. It asks uncomfortable questions. It forces reflection. When I finally stopped silencing it, I realized it wasn't there to punish me, it was there to guide me. I had spent years choosing endurance over understanding, believing that tolerating discomfort was a virtue. Letting go of that belief was difficult. It meant admitting that my definition of strength had been incomplete. Strength, I learned, isn't about how much you can carry in silence. It's about knowing when carrying something is costing you your sense of self. The first lesson became painfully clear. Love without communication slowly transforms into obligation. What begins as care turns into duty. What begins as choice turns into routine. Without honest dialogue, love loses its flexibility and becomes rigid, heavy, and exhausting. I realized how often I had shown love through action, but withheld it through words. I provided stability, consistency, and effort, but I avoided emotional risk. I thought I was protecting the relationship. In reality, I was starving it. Communication isn't just about speaking. It's about allowing yourself to be seen. It's about trusting that your inner world deserves space. Without that exchange, relationships survive, but they don't thrive. The second lesson was even harder to accept. Silence can be more destructive than conflict. I had always believed that avoiding arguments meant preserving peace. But silence doesn't resolve tension, it hides it. And hidden tension doesn't disappear, it settles. Conflict, when handled with respect, can strengthen understanding. Silence, when prolonged, creates distance. I learned that every unspoken truth quietly reshapes the relationship, even when no one acknowledges it. Silence gave me the illusion of control. As long as I didn't speak, nothing could escalate, but that control came at a cost. I lost my voice. I lost my clarity. I lost my emotional grounding. The third lesson marked the beginning of real healing. Healing starts the moment you stop abandoning yourself to keep others comfortable. I had spent so much time prioritizing harmony that I neglected honesty. I adjusted endlessly, believing self-sacrifice was love. But self-abandonment doesn't lead to closeness. It leads to resentment, numbness, and emotional withdrawal. You cannot stay connected to someone else while disconnecting from yourself. Choosing myself didn't mean choosing selfishness. It meant choosing integrity. It meant acknowledging my needs without apology. It meant understanding that my emotional well-being mattered too. This shift was uncomfortable. Guilt surfaced immediately. Old beliefs resurfaced, telling me I was being difficult, demanding, or unreasonable. But I stayed with the discomfort, because beneath it was something I hadn't felt in a long time: clarity. Peace, I discovered, is not the absence of struggle. It's the presence of alignment. When your actions, values, and emotions stop contradicting each other, something settles inside you. I stopped asking how to fix everything and started asking better questions. What do I need to feel emotionally safe? What am I afraid to say? What parts of myself have I been suppressing? These questions didn't offer quick answers, but they offered direction. They pointed me back to myself, to the parts of me that had gone quiet for too long. I also learned to sit with uncertainty. Healing isn't linear. Some days felt lighter, others felt heavy again. But even on the hardest days, I no longer felt lost. I felt present. The desire to assign blame faded over time. Blame kept me stuck. Understanding allowed movement. I saw how both of us were shaped by expectations we didn't consciously choose. That realization didn't erase the hurt, but it softened it. Compassion became possible, first for myself, then for her. Compassion doesn't excuse pain, but it allows growth beyond it. Perhaps the most profound realization was this: the real question isn't why relationships fail. It's why we wait so long to speak honestly within them. Why do we delay vulnerability until damage is already done? We wait because honesty feels risky, because we fear rejection, conflict, or change. Because silence feels safer in the short term. But long term, silence costs more than honesty ever will. I began to see how many people around me were carrying unspoken truths, quiet struggles hidden behind politeness, emotional exhaustion masked as maturity, loneliness disguised as stability. This awareness changed how I moved through the world. I listened more carefully. I asked better questions. I resisted the urge to assume that quiet meant content. Empathy, I learned, starts with curiosity, with the willingness to notice what isn't being said, with the courage to create space for others to speak without fear. Inner peace didn't arrive when my life became perfect. It arrived when I stopped pretending that perfection was the goal. Life is messy. Relationships are complex. Emotions are inconvenient. Peace comes from honesty, from choosing awareness over avoidance, from allowing discomfort to guide growth instead of running from it. If this story stirred something in you, let it be an invitation rather than a warning. An invitation to check in with yourself, with your partner, with the people who share your life quietly. Ask the questions you've been postponing. Say the words you've been rehearsing in your head. Listen without preparing defenses. Speak without diminishing your truth. You don't need a crisis to justify honesty. You don't need permission to care about your emotional well-being. And you don't need to wait until something breaks to begin repairing. Peace is not a destination you reach once everything is resolved. It's a practice you return to every time you choose authenticity over comfort. In the end, healing didn't mean forgetting the heartbreak. It meant allowing it to reshape me into someone more aware, more honest, and more present. And maybe that's the quiet hope at the center of every difficult story, that pain, when listened to, doesn't just hurt. It teaches, it clarifies, it leads you back to yourself.